Hi, I'm Dr. Carolyn Wiley, founder of Rose and Pearl Publishing, and this is the Publish Pearl podcast, where we show you how to turn your message into a book that builds authority, attracts the right people, and multiplies your impact long after you've written the last page. Today, because we are talking about something every author needs: help. Specifically, the kind of help that actually moves the needle on your book and your business. My guest today has been serving authors for over 15 years as a virtual assistant, which means she has seen behind the curtain for more book launches, publishing timelines, author platforms than you can imagine. She knows what works, what authors keep putting off, and exactly where the overwhelm is hiding. She is a VA specifically for authors, a woman of faith, and someone I am personally grateful to know and work with. Please help me welcome to the show, Alyssa Avant. Welcome.
Thank you. I'm excited about being on.
Great. Well, I want to dive right in. You have been a VA for authors for over 15 years, Alicia. What made you specifically want to serve authors? And you look at it as entrepreneurs as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. So, actually, I'm coming up on 19 years. I probably need to update
19
that.
years. Awesome.
Yeah,
Well, I
yeah, in
apologize.
October, it'll be 19 years. And I say that it was sort of a selfish thing because I really enjoyed authors. I have been a book lover since I was really small. The library was like my favorite place. And I wanted to learn from authors because I had dreamed of becoming an author. And so that was one of the reasons I wanted to work with them, as I wanted to learn from them. But as I began to do so, I realized how much that meant that I could come alongside them and help them with their mission and their ministry, or whatever it was that they were called to do. And that was such an inspiring and helpful thing for me that just made me excited about working with them. So that was kind of how I chose to work with authors.
That is incredible. So, what does a day in your life actually look like when you're supporting multiple authors all at once?
Well, every day is different. Obviously, it's exciting. Most of the time, it means that, well, I have a team of virtual assistants that work for me. And so I'm many times supporting them and helping them to know, what they need to do, or just the behind the scenes of us making sure that we all have our marching orders for the day when it comes to what we're doing. And then we serve Christian author, speakers, and coaches in helping them to build and maintain their online platform. And we do that through email marketing, social media marketing, websites, and content repurposing. So those are the different areas that we help support them in. So we might be, creating social media for their book launch. We might be creating a landing page for their new lead magnet, um, helping to support the book launch team, whatever the case may be. It's, always something a little bit different based on where they are in the process. And, if they're new to building their platform, which, yes, that should, be a part of the steps of writing a book. You want to have that platform. And so it can vary a lot. I also meet with clients on a regular basis, do strategy sessions with them to help them to see how they can promote themselves better and establish that platform. So lots of different tasks and different fun projects going on from day to day.
That is awesome. And I know working with authors who this is the first book they're putting out, or they're a busy entrepreneur and the book is meant to be a business asset, they're
Yes.
very, very focused on marketing the business and or writing the book. And it somehow doesn't occur to many of them that they're going to have to market the book as part of this whole process, or build a platform, have a social media presence, around the book, or that the book can naturally fit into the marketing and visibility that they've already got
They already
going.
have.
And it is so fascinating to me that that is an aspect that they don't wanna touch. They want the book to go out there and
That's
magically
true.
sell millions of copies, and it's like, it doesn't work that way. It could literally be the best book ever written in the world, and if you don't have a marketing and promotion plan, it will not sell except to your mama and your best friend.
That's true.
So, is that what you see as authors come to you? That do they come to you knowing that this is the problem, or do they come to you and you kind of help them realize that this is really where you would be able to help them the most?
Both, because brand new authors specifically are often they don't realize that that's a first step rather than what we do after we write the book.
Yes.
Like, they're like, "Well, who am I to have" like, recently, I'd met this guy
Preach.
at a conference, a writers conference, and he was like, "Well, who am I to have a lead magnet or have a" he who was like, "I'm supposed to buy, like, my URL, like, yourname.com," like, he was just so he just felt like he didn't even earn that right or whatever. And so he was very hesitant to do that. And I said, well, you want to do it now so that you build
Mhm.
an audience. So when your book comes out, you've already got an audience for it rather than the other way around. So that
Yes.
happens with brand new authors. But then there are authors who they're really good at what they do and they are amazing writers. Probably, I mean, honestly, I have some who have won writing, book awards and things like that. But they did not realize that they have to market the actual book. And especially if they think because they are getting traditionally published or want to be traditionally published, that the traditional publishing companies are going to market for them. But that is not the case. That
That
might
is
have
not the
been the
case.
way it was, years and years ago.
Right.
But now, even traditionally published authors are expected to market their own books. So you have to have an online presence. You have to have social media. You need a website. And so many of the times they're coming and they're like, I did not realize that I wanted to write. I didn't want to spend my time marketing,
Yes.
or, not even knowing like the technical terms or pieces or how to do it. And so many of them come to me because they learn from their publisher, I need a lead magnet. I need an
Mhm.
email list. I need to grow that email list. And then they come to me to have me help them with those pieces.
So that is a great way for authors to use a VA and to use your services and your team's services. What's a way that they don't realize you would really, really benefit them? What's the most underutilized way that a VA could step in and help them with their launch, with their promotion, with their marketing, with their writing, with whatever that they have going on right now?
Probably the content repurposing, because
Oh,
many
yes.
times they've already done a lot of writing. So they have a lot that they've written, maybe in the form of like blog posts, or even sometimes they've taught classes or they've created, study materials or whatever the case may be. And they didn't realize that they could repurpose that into marketing pieces, such as social media posts, even some of their writing. They could repurpose what they already have. And so they're not aware of the fact that they're usually sitting on a gold mine of content and they
Mhm.
don't have to start from scratch. And that is like, you can hear the relief in their voice when they realize that, hey, they don't have to create all these social media posts. We can take it from them and do it for them, and it will still be in their voice because it's their content.
Yes, that is so important. So then let's flip the coin for a second. Are there tasks that an author should never hand off to a VA, even an amazing one?
Yes, I would say so. So anything that has to be personable to them. So I would not hand off any of the writing itself, obviously. Now if we're repurposing it, that's fine. I would not hand off the I would say I would say the things that you're for example, you can't we it's very hard for us to create content that is going to speak directly to their audience in the form of so we can take long form video and turn it into short form video to use, but if they want to create video content, they need to do that themselves and connect with their audience in that way. They need to be the one going live. They
Yeah.
need to be the one answering the comments and things like that. I just feel, and to me, it they want to keep that um personal relationship with their readers and all of that. Now, it's fine if we repurpose content to use, but I feel like they need that relationship with the readers. And so I personally wouldn't want anybody commenting on my behalf or answering posts and things like that on my behalf. And obviously people want to connect with a person. So it's important that you create your own video content and you show up at your own, lives and things like that. So those are important pieces that I would say to continue to do yourself.
Awesome. So, something else that I have seen, and I don't know if it's unique to the Christian space, but I definitely feel that it's showing up a lot in the Christian space, is this idea that if I'm asking for help, either through a writing coach or publishing professionals or a VA, that somehow that's cheating, that I'm less anointed, that it's not my work because someone else is putting it out there. What would you say to that?
I would say that it's absolutely not cheating. And I believe that God gives each of us talents and abilities and gifts. And there's some things that are not in your gifting. So obviously you need to show up where you have the most talent and ability and gifts and use those gifts to serve others and to serve God. But you also need to give other people the opportunity to use their gifts and talents.
Yes.
And so, for me, there's certain things that I'm really good at that I know that I'm supposed to be doing, but then there are tasks that I know aren't going to serve me well and my time well, and I need to outsource those to other people. And so I definitely see where people are hesitant to do that. But I believe that once you do it, you see the relief that it brings you, but also you're often encouraged by the fact that you're allowing someone else to use their gifts too.
I love that answer. And so then let's talk about, when is an author ready for a VA?
Well, in from my experience, an author is ready for a VA. They have to ask themselves some questions. So you have to ask yourself, are you willing to let go
Mm,
of some of the things that you feel, are very close to you, obviously? You have to also ask yourself, what are the things that I either one, don't have time to do, or two, they exhaust me. They, make me deplete, me of all creativity and energy, and that they're better, with someone else doing it. Those type of things. And then, or what is something I've been procrastinating that
yes.
it could take somebody else like just a few minutes when it would take me hours. Those are when you're asking yourself those questions and you answer, you know, whatever it is that you answer that's either, exhausting you or you just haven't had time to do it or you're procrastinating it, then those are the things that you would want to outsource. So that's when you're ready, is when you're ready to let go of it, but also exactly what it is that you want. Because I've had people come to me in the past that someone told them they needed a VA and they came to talk to me about it, but then they were clueless as to what they wanted to outsource. And so it it was not the right timing for them, but
Hmm.
or they weren't in the right headspace to hire someone. But if you can answer those questions and, make do some kind of pre-work before you come to us as VAs, then you're ready to make that decision.
Well, let's talk then about ROI because, again, my audience is full of business owners writing their signature book. So, when we hire a VA specifically for our book launch, and they're not selling the book, they're building our social media, they're repurposing content into short form, they're repurposing blog posts into emails and making sure my email list is staying active. How does that show up then in terms of ROI for my business and for my book and sales of the book?
Well, what it does is it frees you up to do the things that you're really good at and gives you back that time. So, how long would the tasks take you? Most of the time, if it's something you don't enjoy doing or you procrastinate it, you're going, you're going to spend so much more time trying to do those things, or you're going to put it off and it never get done. So when you're actually outsourcing it and it's, you're showing up more on social media as a result, and you're actually marketing your book and building your email list, the return on your investment is really the sky's the limit, because then you're able to free up your time, but also multiply your time because you're able to get those things done. You're able to get more social media presence out there, but you're also able to grow your email list and still do what you're feeling called to do.
I love that. I know, as I mentioned in the intro, you and I work together on multiple different levels, but one of the projects is I love being on podcasts. I have my own podcast. I speak on other people's podcasts and I adore it. It energizes me. What doesn't energize me is finding podcasts to get on and reaching out. And so Alicia's like, well, I can do that for you. So that I don't have to worry about the reaching out. I just have to accept the invites. When they say, yes, we'd love to have you, I say, excellent. And I show up. And it's so much fun. And that is literally what so many authors that you see doing these podcast tours have done is they've hired a virtual assistant or a
Mhm.
marketing or PR firm
Yep.
to book them on 30 podcasts in the span of 2 months. And that then brings in thousands of book sales, which then results in huge numbers of high ticket clients. That is the purpose of using it for the thing that you don't like. And so when you and I first had that conversation, it wasn't even like, well, I don't know. What should you do for me, Alicia? Like I knew this is the thing that I'm putting off. But because I'm putting it off, this is what's not happening.
Yep.
So here's the bottleneck that you could free me up on.
Right. Exactly.
All right. So then I want to talk more about when you have authors at every stage of the journey, and usually, like your expertise is that social media, that repurposing, all of those things. You mentioned it earlier, but I want you to go deep onto this because authors start this at the wrong point in the journey, correct?
Yes, they
Tell
do.
us what should actually happen.
So you want to build that online presence early on when you feel like you're absolutely nobody. Because like my example of this client, he felt like he was not worthy of even owning the URL or having the Facebook page or whatever. But that's when you want to start building, because I know from a traditionally published author standpoint, the numbers have to be there. But even from self published, or if you do hybrid publishing, the numbers have to be there because you have to have someone out there to share your message with. And those people who are following you, if you start building now before you've ever written a book, will still be there months and months from now, years from now, when you're writing your next book or your next book. And so you want to start before you're ready, way before you're ready, building that online presence through social media, through a website, through an email list, and they will grow with you and grow alongside you, and they'll become your biggest cheerleaders and raving fans. And you'll notice the same people are still following you years later, and they become a part of your journey. And that is what the point of that's the whole point. But many people feel unworthy of doing that, but that is where you should start.
Absolutely. That is totally where you should start. And so, speaking of building it before you're ready, you're writing a book right now.
Uh-huh.
So, tell us a little bit about the book and how you're continuing, because you're not just starting building your audience,
Right.
how you're continuing to build and prep your audience for the fact that this book is coming out.
Yes. So I am writing my first traditionally published book. So I've written some others as self-published books. And I felt like when I was ready to write this book that I was absolutely too busy to do this. So I had to decide, and that's why I started working with Carolyn, was to find ways to free up time to do that. But I also have had a following. I have two different target markets because I'm actually writing a book to help women who want to work from home to become virtual assistants. And then I have my Christian author, speaker, coach audience is who we serve as VAs. So I have for years had an internship program where I teach other women to become VAs in exchange for them working with me, and I have a Facebook group. And so those are people that I've gone to now and shared with them, hey, I'm writing this book. If you have friends that are looking to become VAs, or if you just want to follow along in this journey, in this process. And I've been trying to find ways to share that with them. So, like, for example, this week I decided I have been doing videos over on my YouTube channel, and I decided, hey, I'm going to give them a sneak peek of what I'm working on this week. And that's how simple it can be as a new author to say, hey, I'm writing a book. I want to take you behind the curtain, behind the scenes of where I am. And people like that. People, in fact, I've been using some tools to see to analyze my YouTube to see what people are actually interested in. And the behind the scenes videos are the ones that are the most enticing to them, like what you're doing kind of thing. And so I actually just shared with them that I was writing the book and shared with them a part of a chapter of that book this week. And so, they want to see the behind the scenes. Being an author is often a fascinating thing for other people, and they want to know, okay, what is it that you do? How do you do that? How do you make the time to work on your book as a busy entrepreneur? And
Mhm.
so that was one of the ways that I'm doing it, is just by bringing them alongside my everyday life and business and writing process.
I love that. So, let's talk to both of those audiences right now. If you are currently an author or an entrepreneur or speaker, a coach who is like, you know what, hearing her talk about the need for a VA, I'm in. I need more help. How can they reach out and find you?
Okay, so and I'll give you the URL to share too, because my name, the way it's spelled and the way it sounds and all that is kind of confusing. So it's AlyssaAvantandCompany.com is where you will find my VA services. And then I also have just my name, AlyssaAvant.com, for my author website, and it has the books that I've currently have already authored over there and a blog and everything. So I also have the podcast, which is for Christian authors, speakers, and coaches. It's the Christian Business Advantage podcast. You can find it on any of the podcast apps, and I would love to have you come and listen.
Awesome. I will link all of that. And then for those who are saying, wait a minute, the thing I've been working on hasn't been working, but a VA sounds really cool or interesting. I would love to figure out what that looks like. What can you tell us about getting in touch with you to learn more? Because you would help someone now, like they don't have to wait until your book comes out, but they
Right,
certainly are going to want to buy
absolutely.
it when it comes out.
Yes. So, um, anywhere on social media. I am my name, Alyssa Avant, on most, like on Instagram, Facebook, all the places. So anywhere on social media would be fine. I do have a website that is dedicated to becoming a VA. It's called the Virtual Assistant Advantage. It's just virtualassistantadvantage.com. And so there are some free offers over there, lead magnets and things that you can grab and watch the YouTube videos that I talk about and stuff like that too. So I have lots of places to get in touch.
That would be amazing. And then as we close out, you and I are working together, like you said, with the VA side. You also mentioned how we're working together with writing. Often people think, well, if I go with a traditional publisher, a writing coach is not something I need. So let's end with why, as a traditional published author, where you have a traditional contract signed, sealed, and delivered, why would you decide, you know what, I do want to work with a writing coach?
Well, when I first, so I've written several books for, I think this would be my fifth. And because it had been a while since I had written something, I felt a little unsure about where to start. Like it was like trying to go back in my memory bank and remember the writing process and everything. And so I had worked with a writing coach before years and years ago. It's been over a decade ago. And so I thought I really liked that process and I liked the accountability that I had with it
Yes.
because I, in all areas of my life, have really excelled when I had accountability. And so I have an accountability partner for my business. And, I've had accountability for, my Christian walk and things like that. And so that was a no brainer for me. That was something I definitely needed, somebody to hold me accountable. And so between helping me to make sure that I'm on the right track, word count wise, but also the way in which I put the chapters together and the tools that I use and everything like that. That was what I was looking for in a writing coach and felt like I needed. I just did not want to go it on my own because I felt like I was kind of out of practice and
Mm-hmm.
needed a little coaching to get back in the saddle, so to speak. So that's why I hired you for that. And it has definitely been exactly what I needed. We're about 5 weeks in, something like that,
Mm-hmm.
and 6 chapters in. So I, it's proven, already that was a good choice.
I love that because we sat down, we literally did mind maps around exactly what was going to go in the book. We did a full arc of exactly how we were going to take the reader from where they were when they grabbed the book to the transformation they were going to have at the end of the book. Every step along the way of that bridge, what is each little step that they have to take? And then how does that translate into a chapter? And being able to do that with someone who does that for a living just makes such a big difference because a traditional publisher is going to expect a manuscript. They're
Mhm.
not going to expect to help you through the writing process. They want you to hand them a done manuscript. And so having the help available, again, back to that word, we need the help to hold us accountable, to map that out. You and I even mapped out exactly what you were supposed to do every week. So there wasn't a guess. Like, every day when you wake up, what you're supposed to write that day so
Yeah,
that you know exactly when it's going to be done.
Yeah, that was helpful because, I only have so much time because I'm running a business and, still a mom and all the things. So I felt like I knew I was going to set aside the certain amount of time every day, but I also needed to know, okay, well, what does that mean though? How does that translate into like word count and number of chapters and all that stuff? And so that was helpful to me because I'm very much a check off the,
Hmm.
checkbox kind of person. Like I use to-do list and need to know what to do each time. And I think I would have probably just been sitting staring if I had not had like that arc thing where it says, okay, in chapter 6 or whatever, these are the things we need to cover. And this is what I need to teach them by the end of this chapter. I would have never been able to do that. I would have just been probably sitting and staring for a while.
I love that. Well, thank you so, so much for being on the podcast. And if you are an author and you're like, okay, I want to get started, I don't even know how to begin. So I am not ready for help or for a coach because I don't even have my head wrapped around where to get started. Go to roseandpearl.net/get started. Grab the Right Start Guide. It comes with a private podcast so that while you're busy and multitasking, you can pop the podcast in your ear and hear exactly how to get started. And if you already are ready to get started, you already know that this is the time, this is the season that you are going to invest in writing the absolute best business asset that you could ever have. Contact me in the comments. There's a link in the show notes where you can schedule an appointment, and let's get you started writing that book that will change your business. Alicia, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
All right. And this is the Published Pearl, and we will see you next time. Hi, I'm Dr. Carolyn Wiley, founder of Rose and Pearl Publishing, and this is the Published Pearl podcast, where we show you how to turn your message into a book that builds authority, attracts the right people, and multiplies your impact long after you've written the last page.